So this is the above the fold discussion about your LinkedIn profile. And I'm just going to say it. This may be the most important thing that you can do in your career to help you from a branding point of view. Remember, we talked about you need to be a professional. You'll also need to brand yourself well. And this is the most important thing. So if you watch anything else in this course, do this and you'll be way ahead. Not just for now during this job search, but for the rest of your career. So get this part right, do this part. Spend an hour on this section right here, and you're going to be golden for the next 30 years. So just trust me, it's the most important thing. And the reason why is because when people are out looking for a job, they've got their little resume, and if you worked hard, and made phone calls and worked week after week for a few months, you might get your resume actually looked by a recruiter or the hiring manager of a particular company. You might get 25 to 30 people that see your resume and go yes or no. And more often than not, someone in there is going to say yeah, or maybe 3 or 4. Congratulations, you're going to have great interviews. But your LinkedIn profile, it may get seen by 3 to 5 people, maybe if you're active, let's say maybe even 10 people per week. But if you do that per week for the rest of your career, all of a sudden you start going, oh. So every time someone looks at your LinkedIn profile, they're looking at you. Now the question might be is why are they looking at your LinkedIn profile? Well, chances are they're either a recruiter or they're a hiring manager, or it may be somebody that you're going to meet. But generally, a recruiter or a hiring manager for the next job that might be available, the next opportunity that's coming your way. So think about that. Your career and the opportunities that come your way are being made by someone that you've never met. They only are making a decision about you and your career and the opportunities that come your way based solely on your LinkedIn profile. Oh my goodness. That's why I say a LinkedIn profile is 1,000, maybe 10,000 in order of finances, 100,000 times more, $100,000 more than your resume. Because your resume is boring, it's static, it sits in the shelf. Nobody ever sees it. Your LinkedIn profile, oh my goodness. It's your sales page. It's your landing page. It's where you get to tell the world how amazing of a professional you are. So we're going to talk now about what happens above the fold and how you can make your LinkedIn profile amazing. So we're going to take some examples and I'm going to show you what you need to do on your LinkedIn profile to make it the absolute best that it could ever be. Let's see. So here we are on LinkedIn and want to talk about what happens above the fold. In other words, the very first thing that you see on your LinkedIn profile is the most important information on your LinkedIn profile. So you want to make sure you spend a good bit of time getting this portion right. So I want to just talk about a few examples of students that I've worked with and different folks and kind of give some of the, I think, the best practices of what you can and should have in your LinkedIn profile. So this is a student of mine, Kego Asangu, and you'll see first of all his name right here, and then he puts his certification. He's an EIT, he's an engineer in training, and what this does for him is if you've got a certification, if you sweat, blood, sweat, and tears, if you earned that certification, go ahead and put it right here, especially if it designates you or sets you apart from other folks that might be in your marketplace. So here's Kego. He's got an EIT, civil analyst, water wastewater engineer at Kimley Horn. So that's a firm that he works for. Here it says civil analyst. Nobody's ever going to do a search for civil analyst, but that's what they call their people there. I would have encouraged him to say, hey, civil engineer right here, because that's what people would look. And then water, wastewater certainly more defines what a civil engineer, what sector he might be in. But one of the things that's great about his LinkedIn profile here is his photograph. It's professional, it's sharp, it's got him in a tie, a nice smile. Wonderful photograph. When we first talked, didn't have anything here in the background. And I was like, Kago, if you're a wastewater guy, could you find a photo and stick it in here that kind of resounds or means something to the people who are in this marketplace? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So he put this photograph up, and you'll see here that it's a clarifier here. He's got a high service pumps right here. Another clarifier, and this may be a digester of some sort, probably a chlorine storage room right here. So this may have been a project that he worked on, but it gives an idea. So when people see his LinkedIn profile, they go, oh, he's one of ours. He's one of us. He's someone that's in the same market space as we are. So definitely want to reach out to him. But one thing I'll also encourage people to do is in your About section, and here you can see he did it. He said to all hiring managers and recruiters, contact me by email, and then he puts his email address right there. So that way, in your About section, you make it real easy for a recruiter or someone who sees you to be able to reach out and connect. So you could put your email if you're actively looking. One thing I also encourage people to do when they're actively looking is put their phone number there. Unless for some reason you think someone might try to stalk you or whatever. But more often than not, you're just trying to make it easy for someone who hits your LinkedIn profile to get a hold of you. So let's look at one more. This is Farhood Kabirian. Farhood is one of my students. He actually got cut loose during COVID. And oh my gosh, he applied for like 400 jobs. And when I met him, he just had a plain background, a nice smile, a professional photograph, which was terrific. And he is a material scientist, failure analysis and metallurgy. But when when I got to this section, I said, Farhood, you really need to make this much more attractive. And he was like, oh, okay. And so he created 8 different photos that showed some of the things that he had investigated as a material scientist. And so he did everything from, looking at cracks on a bridge in Delaware River Bridge, to, microscopic valuations, and also this stress analysis here. And so one of the things that was interesting in my conversation with him is he said, yeah, I stopped work on applying for jobs online. He said, I spent about 2 or 3 hours assembling all these different photos and putting them in the right spot. And then he posted it. And then he said, which was crazy, he said, Pat, I had an interview and I wasn't sure what they were going to talk to me about. And I put all of the things here in my About section of what I do. He said, but when the person called on the interview, they had looked at my LinkedIn profile and said, hey, tell us about this photo. And so he said they had a 15-minute conversation just about one picture that was on the backdrop image of his LinkedIn profile. So when you look at it in that context, you realize, oh, these are all different hooks. And when I say hooks, it means something to different people in the marketplace. And they go, oh, he's one of us. We need to give this guy a call. And so it can work for that initial conversation, but it can also work as a talking point during your interview. So it worked for him and he landed the job. So good for Farhood, and using very clever technique here in his backdrop image or background image on how to update your LinkedIn profile banner. Let me show you one more. This is Dennis Akins, and Dennis is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for a good while now. And you can see here he is a GIS professional, and so he earned that certification. He put it right here. But one of the other things I thought was interesting is that he did a great job of showing in his title the keywords that people would use in order to find someone like him. So here he has geospatial SME, subject matter expert. He's a remote sensing analyst, a geospatial data manager, and a commercial remote pilot. So you can see that he does, different things. So here he's out flying his airplane, and here he is sitting in front of his airplane. But when I first talked to him, I said, Dennis, I know you love your airplane and all that, but the whole image was the airplane. And I said, you're trying to talk to people who are looking for a GIS expert. So although this photograph means something to you because clearly you love flying airplanes, I said it's not about you. It is about you, but it's not for you. You want these images to resonate with the people who are looking at your resume. So, for example, here is an image showing a GIS image showing a different, looks like a lake with some mountains here, a remote sensing drone, and then here is a GIS map as well. So you can see here he's got a lot of the right techniques in his LinkedIn profile with his background image. So let's go look at one more. This is Caleb Shelton. Again, wonderful photograph. Bet he took that one when he was getting married. So a terrific profile photo. Mike could get a little bit closer, but he put that one in there. And you can see here when he first graduated from college, he had no water, wastewater, or environmental engineering experience. And so I said, hey, let's put fly the flag, show your university. So they're at Kennesaw State. And he was looking for jobs here in the Atlanta area. So you want to use that university symbol when you're doing a job search in an area where the university is well known. Why? Because that's going to give you a hook. Somebody's going to go, oh, yeah, you went to KSU, so did I. But he's an environmental engineer, and so you'll see here he had a water wastewater treatment plant, another wastewater lagoons, a dam, photovoltaic. He was into renewable resources, and then here with a wind farm. What was kind of crazy is you look here. Okay, so after a couple of months of job search, he lands a job at Safe Dams, with the state of Georgia, EPD. But look, there's a link right there showing the dam, and you go, oh, excuse me. Oh, so it kind of makes sense that if he was looking for a dam, they saw one there, and you just go, is it an accident? Don't know. But when they saw that, they said, oh, he's interested in what we do. So it sure helped. I'm sure it helped. So let's go look at one more, Kimberly Kim. Kimberly called me up. She had been out of a job for 6 months and couldn't land her next job. And she's like, Pat, nobody knows where I'm from, and she said, I'll go to Elizabethtown College. And I was like, okay, well, let's use that. So I told her, put your university logo right here, especially when you're right out of school. Go ahead and stick it in there because then people know, oh, maybe we went to the same college as I did, or at least I know something about you. She wanted to do water resources and water and wastewater, and so she put some of those photograph images here, and sure enough, she landed a job as a staff designer with water resources in engineering. And you'll see here, right down here, please contact me at this email address. So you can see that she did some of the great things that you need to do in order to land your, to let people be able to connect with you. Now, here's the final one. Wanted to get Anita Atkinson. Anita is a friend of mine, and I think she has the perfect LinkedIn profile. There's so many things to love about her profile above the image, but you can just see immediately, wham, she's an engineer who specializes in the power sector of transmission and delivery. So here's some transmission power lines. Here's distribution power lines. Here's it's probably a substation here. There's a switch there for a panel at a substation. Here is some cooling racks and the things in a power plant. And here's the go symbol. So you can see here she has her name, first name, probably her maiden name, and then her married name, and then PE. Here's her title, Vice President, Engineering and Surveying. She's a board member, consulting engineer, technical trainer for electric utilities. So you can see that she's got a lot of things. And I know that she's not looking for a job, but wow, just a terrific profile. Look here also, a fantastic professional photograph. Nice smile, professional outfit, everything about her, just wonderful. And then one more thing that is really cool is in the About section, one thing I also encourage people to do is sometimes put a story. Right here, you can put a story about what you love about engineering, how you got into it, or whatever. But just so interesting here, she just says, sometimes I can't believe how lucky I am. What a great hook. You're like, really? Well, why is she lucky? She said, I get to work with a team of talented professionals who get to as excited as I do when we ride down the road, pointing out the electric utility projects we've worked on. I'll admit I've almost wrecked a few times staring at power lines, but I can't help it. Does that sound like someone who loves power and delivery? Absolutely. So you know when you get someone like this that she is 110% loves everything about electric utilities. She's amazing. She's a professional. She's putting herself out there as one of the best, and she really is. She's one of the best in her marketplace. So those are some examples of above the fold things that you should do in order to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is professional and attractive, not just meaningful to you. Yes, again, it is about you, but you must realize when you're doing this, you're writing your profile for the people who are going to be looking at your LinkedIn profile. And those people are the decision makers. They'll be either recruiters or hiring managers. When they are looking at your LinkedIn profile, try to decide, yes, that's the person we want on our team. So that's it for this section, and we'll get started on the next.